Hi, Azir, welcome. So now we're going to wait a bit more for everyone to join the webinar and then we can start. First, I will introduce about the webinar, what are we going to talk about. Then I'm going to introduce everyone who will speak, and then we can start with our guest speakers. Okay, then we can start now. Again, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining this webinar. We're going to talk about RPA today. So as you all know, technology and digitalization are making our lives easier and increasing the quality of the way we live. Especially in recent years, technological developments are happening quicker. As humankind, we are always looking for new ways to make different processes easier and faster, and automation plays a crucial role in these processes. RPA, which stands for Robotic Process Automation, is a technology that helps simplify the repetitive processes that are done by humans, and it has become a technology that has started to be used more in different industries. As global AI hub, leading India AI, Boytech Automation and DeFi, we have teamed up within the scope of the 10 Million AI project, which is global AI's project and our initiation to educate 10 million people from all around the world, 5 million of which will be women, about artificial intelligence, robotics, data, machine learning, and much more. And we want to introduce you to the world of automation. In this webinar, you will learn how automation technologies and RPA work, where they can be used, and how they will affect our future. The reason behind its popularity in recent years, and so much more from the incredible experts who will join us. I want to introduce to you the first expert, which is Dr. Madushi Verma. She is a professor at Bennett University, and she will be joining us today. Welcome, Mr. Madushi. Thank you for coming to this webinar and for agreeing to join us.
Thank you.
Yes, you can introduce yourself a bit if you want, and then we can carry on.
Sure. So myself, Dr. Madushi Verma, I am working as assistant professor at Bennett University. I've had a little bit of exposure to RPA because I have been working on it for the past 2 years nearly. I've done some certifications as well, and going forward, we would be, of course, talking more about RPA. But just to give one brief introduction to RPA is that going ahead in future, we'll find that this technology is going to be adapted in most of the industries because it is going to make our lives easier. And the lot of things which we are doing manually today, even today, a lot of industries are doing several tasks manually, but after crossing this period of pandemic, we have realized how important work from home culture is, how important automation is, and there are a lot of tasks which are soon going to be automated. Hence RPA is going to have a great future, and a lot of industries are going to adapt RPA very soon. So having said that, I would also talk more about RPA as we go ahead with the webinar, but yeah, it is going to have a great future.
Thank you very much. The second speaker of this webinar is Mr. Nikolai Schreiber. He is a business development manager at Boytech in Switzerland. Welcome, Mr. Nikolai.
Thank you very much, Enki, and good afternoon to all of you.
So you can introduce yourself a bit if you want, then we can carry on.
Sure, thank you. So yeah, I'm Nikolai Schreiber. I'm working as a business development manager at Boiler Automation in Switzerland, and we are focusing on the business processes of companies. And I'm back in my career. I have a lot of experience in building business processes in international companies and shaping them for the future, shaping it fit for the future, and as well for different leadership roles within the whole operational performance
Thank you
environment.
very much. Thank you very much. Our third and final speaker is Mr. Arjun Mehta. He is a senior developer evangelist at Automation Anywhere. Welcome, Mr. Arjun.
Hello, Enki. Hi, everyone. Thanks. Yeah, thanks a lot for inviting to this webinar. Happy to be a part of this expert panel. As Enki mentioned, I am a senior developer evangelist with Automation Anywhere, and I come with 15 years plus industry experience. And I'm primarily looking at like automation as a lever for achieving digital transformation. So I work with developers across industries, across different verticals and various countries to empower them on how they can leverage the power of RPA in their day-to-day life to improve the efficiency of the processes which they have been working manually throughout a long time.
Thank you very much. So now we can start with the questions. The first question and the easiest one is, what is RPA? How would you talk about RPA? What is it? Mr. Madushi, you can start if you want. Then Mr. Arjun and Nikolai, if you have anything else to add, you can add.
Sure. So, according to me, how I can define RPA is, so RPA has got three words, put together. That is robotic process automation. So every word carries a specific significance here when I would like to define RPA. So robotic means, something that can mimic the human behavior. So we usually try to do tasks which human beings are doing, and we want to automate that task. So robotic is something, trying to mimic the human behavior. And then process, the second word, which usually we associate this term process with a series of steps which we want to execute so that we can, achieve a final outcome, a desired outcome. So a sequence of steps that can help us achieve a final outcome, the desired one. And finally, automation, which is, in case of automation, we try to automate certain tasks. That is, it should not require human intervention, and we should be able to perform it automatically. So putting it all together in simple terms, how I would like to define RPA is that we use a software. So first thing is RPA is not a hardware, because when we talk about robotic, the impression which we might carry is that it is something related to hardware. But RPA is not about hardware. It is a software that helps us to mimic the human behavior and perform the task in a easier manner, as well as do it with a lot of efficiency. It removes the human bias, the human errors, and we are able to perform it in a simpler manner, in an efficient manner. So that is how I would like to define RPA.
Thank you very much, Dr. Madushi. Mr. Arjun, do you have anything to add?
Yes, definitely. So Madushi explained it very well. Just to add on, like humans have been working on a lot of low value tasks, but that is not what they really enjoy doing it, because those are like very mundane and repetitive. So that's what we want to take out of the humans. Like we want to take the robot out of the humans. That way, humans can focus on high value added tasks like customer interactions, like relationship building, critical thinking, strategic development. So, those are the things which we want the humans to focus on. In that way, it will also help them in terms of their career development. Also, for organizations, it's a lot of benefit to you to work with humans in the way they would want to bring their potential, rather than just dealing with day-to-day repetitive tasks, which takes a lot of time and which is like very tiring and error prone because it's so repetitive.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. Mr. Nikolai, do you have anything to add?
Was great from my colleagues. Yeah. So basically, it's all about the human beings. The employees of the company will be coming back into the center, and that's it all about. Yeah. So it was very good understanding from you both. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So the second question, Mr. Nikolai, I want to start with you for the second question. Why companies and people should use RPA?
So, yeah, the answer is RPA brings back the value, or it brings in the value. In all companies, in all business areas, there are repetitive and monotonous tasks to be done. And these are certainly necessary for all companies and their services and their customers. Sure, but they also absorb a lot of important resources from their employees themselves. So the human capital of every single employee in the most is the most important thing at all. And RPA frees up the resources again, so they can once again devote themselves to creative and more strategical topics. And an important thing, they can ensure the innovation. And yeah, in every single area of a business or of a company, and in every single industry, you will find some repetitive work. And with RPA, the people itself, they can focus more on innovation again.
Great. So, Mr. Arjun, I want to carry on the same question, but I add also something else. Where in which industries is RPA used? Like Mr. Nikolai said, industries are using it more and more. So, in which industries is it being used?
Okay, great question. Like a lot of people would think like maybe RPA is not for everyone, or it's for a specific industry or for a specific vertical. But here, this robotic process automation, this is technology agnostic, industry agnostic, vertical agnostic. What that means is like it can be used in any industry and any domain. Wherever you see any kind of manual and repetitive mundane tasks are being carried out, those can be replaced with the automation. And here, for example, if I just have to name any industries, like banking industries and insurance are the forefront runners. So that means like there are like a lot of banks and finance companies and the insurance companies who are using it. But along with that, we do work with a lot of customers who are into agriculture, media, and then manufacturing, logistics, even space technologies. You name it, we are probably already working with it. So that says like any industry, irrespective of what you are working on, you can definitely look at something which can be automated with RPA.
Great, thank you very much. Dr. Madushi, do you have anything to add to these questions?
Yeah, just to add on one thing, like my perspective is why anybody should use RPA. So basically, I think it is going to be advantageous for both the employers as well as the employee, because it is going to add value to both the fronts. That is one thing. For if I talk about the employer perspective, so if they start, working with RPA, they'll get the advantages of reduced operational cost and better improved quality and stuff like that. And if we look at the employee perspective, so if you are not wasting your time in doing repetitive tasks, you get a lot of time on working on your profile, like improving your skill set and working more on that, and that also gives a lot of satisfaction to the employee. So that is what the advantage of using RPA is, because it is adding value to both the fronts, whether it is the employer or it is the employee.
Thank you very much. Mr. Arjun, I will start the fourth question with you, and then we can carry on. How can we start learning RPA? Do we have to have programming background in order for us to learn RPA?
Sure. So these RPA platforms are built in such a way you can just get started with using drag and drop features. So what that means is like consider it as like a Lego blocks. Like whatever you need to construct, these are all ready-made blocks which you can just plug and play into a workflow which essentially forms a bot. And with respect to the programming languages, it is not mandatory for you to know any programming language. However, if you know of any programming language and can write code, the platforms are always say, I would take the example of Automation Anywhere's Automation 360 platform. It is built in such an extensible manner that if you know Python, you can bring in Python scripts. If you know Java, you can write your own package. If you know .NET, you can write your own DLL and then call it from the bot. So that way, it's not mandatory for you to know any programming language. However, if you are already an expert in it, you will still be able to make the best use of it and build more advanced bots.
Thank you very much. Dr. Madushi and Mr. Nikolai, do you have anything to add to this question?
Yeah, so I would like to add one thing what Arjun said, you need not to be a hardcore programmer to start working in RPA, which is absolutely right. But again, if you know a little bit of programming, there are a lot of people who are not very much into programming. They don't like programming. But many times we do learn the basics of it. And if we do know the basics of it, then any day we'll have an extra edge over a person who does not know anything about programming. However, as Arjun pointed out, it is more of building the blocks together and forming a workflow, which is absolutely right. But if we know something about programming, because even when we draw and when we build up that workflow, we have to use things like looping, etc., which are of course constructs coming from the concept of programming. So if somebody knows about it, any day that person is going to have an extra edge. But yes, you need not to be a hardcore programmer to start working in
I see. Thank you very much. I also wanted to say to our viewers that if you want to start your journey with programming, globally, I have just launched a new Python course, which is an introductory course. So if you're interested, just go on the website and you can start the course for free completely. I think it's a great course. I think Python is something that we all should know at least the basics of it. So for our viewers, I wanted to give this information. So thank you very much. The other question is, what are the advantages of using RPA, Mr. Nikolai? What makes RPA processes more efficient?
Yeah, thank you for the question. It's a good one. So with RPA, you can the processes can be automated on the surface, so on your desktop, and it can be automated in the background. It can running on the background in the backend. So there are no large implementation projects or adjustments to the infrastructure are required. So you can start right away. And you're able to connect system interruptions or even make legacy systems fit for the future. You have a lot of companies that are working with legacy systems. They are working with them since 20 years, yeah, but they're not super sophisticated. But you still can work with. You can connect them with RPA, and that's the big advantage. And it increases also the agility, saves cost, and increases employer satisfaction at the end. And everyone benefits basically from that. Yeah. So the company, the shareholders, the customers, and it's important to know because when you're talking with a CFO, maybe a CFO have more the focus on the financial aspect. But when you're talking with the HR departments, maybe they are focusing more on the employee satisfaction, and maybe from the sales perspective, you're focusing on the customer itself. So at the end, every single one will benefit from RPA.
Thank you very much, Mr. Arjun. Do you have anything else to add to this question?
Yes, like organizations like these days, we are all competing with digital native companies. So they have built everything ground up. So that's where they have the digital advantage and they don't have like legacy systems to deal with. So that's where a lot of larger organizations are trying to catch up with. And here RPA forms like the hub and the spoke model for digital transformation. So RPA forms the core to which you can connect every other technologies. For example, you want to call APIs, you can call them. If you want to invoke any machine learning algorithms, you can do it. You can interact with conversational AIs. So that way, you are able to connect and make use of all the technologies to ensure your company is getting digitally transformed. So that's where RPA brings in its power.
Thank you very much. And Dr. Madushi, do you have anything else to add?
No, I'm good. So as Arjun and Nikolai has told us, they shared that how we are actually looking forward to a transformed, future tomorrow, and RPA is going to play a big role in that.
Thank you. And Dr. Madushi, the other question is, what do you think is the reason behind RPA's popularity in the recent years?
So, as I said, I stated earlier also, I believe the reason behind this popularity is that it is adding value to the profile of both the employer as well as the employee. So, any day, we can design a bot which is capable of doing certain tasks, which is taking away a lot of time of a human being. tasks which are repetitive in nature, tasks which does not require the human intelligence as such. And we have to keep on doing that task. It can be for a large amount of data. It can be like simple things of extracting some textual data from a PDF document. So these are certain things which do not require human intelligence. And when we design a bot for doing these kind of tasks, the human being is actually saving a lot of time for doing more analytical things, like finding out the value added things from what the bot has done. So the human intelligence can be applied for extracting more meaningful the data from it, and then work on it, which will add value to the industry also, or any platform where the RPA tool is being used. So there we can perform more, we can add value to it, we can perform more tasks, we can do work on a larger amount of data, which may not be possible for a human being to do in a short span of time. And then there are a lot of things which comes into picture when a human being is doing that task. For example, the human errors which might come in if the human being is working for a longer duration. If we design a bot for it, the bot can keep on running for 24 cross 7 cross 365. So there is no things like getting tired and things like that. So RPA is one technology which is going to remove all the errors or all the disadvantages which comes into play when a human being is doing that task. Along with that, the human intelligence can now be utilized for doing something bigger. That is what RPA is doing, and therefore it is going to add value to all the business processes wherever we are going to utilize.
Thank you very much. Mr. Arjun, do you have anything to add to this question?
Yes, definitely. Like changing customer expectations is what the organizations are trying to meet. A couple of years ago, if I wanted to apply for a credit card or like open a bank account or close a bank account, it would take a couple of days or even a couple of weeks. And we were okay at that time. But right now, we are in a world where we are looking for everything instant. We don't want to wait for anything to happen after a week or a month. So that's where the power of these software bots come in, where they work relentlessly and still you have the control over what these bots are doing. So that way you know exactly what is being done, and you as a human still retain the authority to approve or reject an application or a loan or a credit card or an account, anything. But still the bots would do the heavy lifting for us. So that's where the technology is going to improve every person involved in this entire journey, as Madushi mentioned earlier.
Thank you. And Mr. Nikolai?
Not a lot. So I would add one more thing, because I think it's also a combination of several reasons, like the convenience itself to build a bot or to work with those platforms, and as well the speed. And programming skills are not mandatory required, because such RPA projects are usually implemented in a few weeks. And we are not talking about a big IT implementation project, which take a couple of months. It's implementing in a couple of weeks. So from a financial point of view, it is therefore exciting, since the payback is usually achieved in the same year, and it's really great. And so you will experience the benefits in a short time, and that's really great.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Arjun, the next question is, what are the best RPA tools to use when developing an RPA project?
Sure, there are definitely good number of tools in the market, but I would like to talk about Automation Anywhere's Automation 360 platform. Like it's an integrated platform where it will help you throughout the journey of your RPA's life cycle. For example, if you want to analyze a process if it is well suited to be automated or not, we have a tool for that like Discovery Bot. And then if you want to build a RPA bot, we have our RPA workspace, that is the core platform. And if you want to work on intelligent automation, say for example you want to extract anything from different kind of documents, because there are like n number of documents which are being processed in from different formats, there we have a product called IQ Bot. And then once these bots all run together and give you the results, you also want to understand what are the business analytics and operational analytics which you can derive. For that, we have something called Bot Insight. So these are all the various products which you can learn together in an automation 360 platform.
Thank you very much. Mr. Nikolai, are there any other tools we can use?
Yeah, for sure. So thank you, Arjen, for the introduction also as well for automation anywhere. And there are a lot of other the software vendors in the field, but everyone are working with similar tools. So they're all based on a low code principle. So basically, it's all about to drag and drop the functionalities where you can build your bot or you can build or automate your process. So, but at the beginning, it's all about the identification. Which process I would like to automate, which is really fit for automation. And so you can use task mining or process mining approach where you can find the right process to automate and as well to scale the automation within your company, within the enterprise. And yeah, they are really powerful tools.
Thank you. Dr. Madushi, I have another question for you. So we talked about how we used to do things in the past, like taking a credit card or doing something, it will take weeks. Right now, it doesn't take weeks anymore. How will our RPA look in the future? How will it affect our lives and the business world?
Yeah, so as Arjun has also stated earlier, like it is a kind of transformation which is happening. And in this era of digitalization, where we are looking forward to so many technologies, coming in, and those that were existing also are improving day by day. Every day there is a new enhancement which comes into the market. So with this kind of improvement and this kind of enhancement and the new technologies which are coming in the market, it is very important that we start looking forward to how we can integrate all of this and we can have something that can benefit all sort of industries. RPA is one technology which can be used in any industry, like it was pointed out by Arjun earlier also. Be it agriculture, be it banking, be it infrastructure, be it even education. Even in academics, RPA can be utilized for doing so many tasks in an easier manner. Because I come from an academic background, so I can also state that it is going to ease out the work of a lot of professors if we start adapting RPA in the educational field as well. And having said that, we can talk about a lot of business processes which can be automated. And once we have automated a task, as it was stated by Nikolai and Arjun also earlier, we can have bots which are both attended and unattended. So we can design and we can decide what the bot is going to do, and accordingly, be it any industry, we can just analyze that what is the process that we need to automate, whether it requires an attended bot which will require some sort of human intervention, or it requires an unattended bot that the task can be completely automated. So any organization, any business process that we can decide and we can analyze that it requires some sort of automation, and then we can design the flow of that bot, how that bot is supposed to function. So it can be any industry. Going forward in this digital era, it can be any industry, it can be any organization, it can be any domain where RPA can be utilized. Hence, I stated, in my introduction also that it is going to have a great future because it can automate any sort of task which is repetitive in nature, which does not require human intelligence, and that is going to ease out the life of people who are involved in those processes.
Thank you, Mr. Arjun. Do you have anything to add?
Yes, in the future, as I also mentioned earlier, we are looking, one is like integration of all these technologies, and the next piece is going to be like self-learning bots and self-healing bots. So the way it works is like right now, for example, let's take an example where a customer A is applying for a loan, and the bot, based on the rules it is given, it is not able to approve. So it is just going to reject, or if it is not very clear, it's just going to route it to an attended person who is going to decide based on his experience or some additional factors which are not straightforward to write in the just a simple looping conditions to decide whether this customer has to be approved or not. But based on how the human involved in the loop is going to take the decision, the machine learning algorithms which are working on the back burner of the bot, that's going to learn from the human experience. And when similar cases come in the next time to the bot, now the bot knows, okay, based on the previous experiences I have from getting the responses from the human, now I'm able to approve this customer. So that's the kind of bots we are looking at in the future, which are going to learn on the go and will improve based on the number of times you're going to use the bot. So that will be the next phase of the bot integrations which are coming in with all the machine learning and the AI getting involved there.
Thank you very much. Mr. Nikolai, my next question for you is, what is the effect of RPA in digitalization and digital transformation?
So RPA accelerates the digital transformation enormously. As in many cases, the entry into the AI business, yeah. So RPA is basic robotics, but then the AI comes into play. Arjun already mentioned it. You have different AI elements where you can add to the process and to the bots. So machine learning skills and tools will be very important in the future, and it will also change the way you think. You will analyze processes in a different way, and you place the customer more into the center, and this results in a completely new perspective. So you will focus more from the customer perspective, and in combination with the AI skills, it will be very powerful in the future.
Thank you. Dr. Madushi, do you have anything to add to this question?
No, nothing much, but as Nikolai said, in future it is going to play a very important role, and bringing all the technology together, like machine learning algorithms can be integrated. We can have conversational AI being integrated. So RPA is one technology which is providing us the ability to integrate other technologies with it, and then become even more powerful. So that is the power of RPA, that it can be integrated with other technologies and we can achieve the desired outcomes.
Okay, thank you. We have one question from the comment section. I want to ask this question to Mr. Arjun first. How do you evaluate the use of RPA for jobs where the number of qualified personnel is insufficient?
It's a good question. It's all about like demand and supply. When we see a lot of organizations using this RPA, that's when the demand increases, and it also provides an opportunity for the organizations who are involved in the training, right? Like we look at training institutes. Everybody is like trying to train people like who are already professionals, and on the other side you have these colleges and universities are also gearing up to the demand, so that instead of just passing out with the regular degrees, which have always been the case, if you're already like well versed with these RPA technologies, it gives you an edge over everybody else, and you are also ready for the job market. So you don't have the companies don't have to invest in a fresher to train him, get him certified, and then deploy him to the production. So that's where I would say the combination of the educational institutions, the training institutes, and even the corporates who are already having these products but maybe not used by every department, they're also kind of training their workforce to meet this demand and supply gap.
Thank you very much. Dr. Madushi, do you have anything to add, since you are also an assistant professor? Maybe you can talk about this question a bit more.
Yes. So as Arjun said, even the universities are now very vigilant about this because we do understand the need of the industries. And hence you will find that a lot of universities today are running specializations, are running special courses, like, in whatever way possible according to their curriculum. Like if I talk about my university, we do have a separate specialization for RPA, where the objective is to train the students who are interested in this domain with the necessary skills, so that once they step out of the university, they can actually grab a job in a good industry where RPA is being utilized. So, as pointed out by Arjun, it is all about demand and supply. Since the demand is increasing, therefore, universities and industries have started looking forward to training their workforce and the trainers and the students, so that we do have resources, we do have people, manpower who is ready with the skills and can start working with the RPA.
Thank you. And I'll add another question to the same question. For example, let's say universities are not actually helping students to get education about RPA. A student is very interested in it, but he doesn't have the opportunity to learn it in university. where can he start his journey? Online, for example, what would you advise them?
So I'll answer. I'll go first with this. So, as Automation Anywhere, we have a university ourselves. So I'll share the links for that.
Mhm.
Automation Anywhere University is what we offer. So there you can just sign up for the courses and you can learn on our platform on how to build bots. We have blog posts, text based tutorials along with screenshots, and even video based tutorials. So based on your style of learning, you can visit our Automation Anywhere University and learn about these platform. And also we offer certifications, so that way once you learn, you use our community edition, that is like a free of cost software for you. Learn, implement, try it out, get certified. That's where you have an edge. Even if you are all by yourself and don't have any support, you will still be able to shine and showcase your value add to the organizations.
Great, thank you very much. So our viewers now know where they can start their journey and learn about RPA even more. So my other question for you, we can start with Mr. Nikolai about this question. Um, what is, what are the key steps in developing an RPA project?
Yeah, it's a really important question, and it begins with the change management. This is a really crucial part in the introduction of RPA. So all employees' concerns must be taken seriously, and it needs to be an open communication, and this is really the key. And they will benefit from RPA, and it ultimately be happy with the able what RPA is able to, and they can concentrate again on the more valuable task, more strategical, on more innovation task. So in addition to that, a management buy-in is also very important. You need a sponsor who stands behind the whole project, gives the people the people need some time to really learn with the technology, to understand how the technology is working, and they need the time. And this is quite important in
Thank you,
developing
Mr.
a
Yeah,
PA project. Yeah.
yeah, thank you very much. Mr. Ashun, do you have anything to add to this question?
So yeah, as Nikolai already mentioned, it's all about like identify something which is like very repetitive, where a lot of time is being spent on. That way, you know whatever you are automating, it is actually giving you that return of investment. So you know what you should automate on and what you should not automate on, because few things are best done by humans while few things a machine can do better. So that's where you want to have a framework around what are the parameters, like very much repetitive, not much of intelligence required. If you just want to start with those use cases and which are taking a lot of your employees time, so that's when you will reap a lot of benefits from the RPA toolings and platform.
And that was actually my last question for you. How can we decide if a process can be automated and RPA can be used? So it depends on how much work you said, right? A certain task needs, and if it needs too much work, then you can try to make it so that so humans don't actually need to do it by hand. Okay. Do you have any other thing to add, Dr. Madushi?
No, so Arjun has already answered that question, but yes, just to add on to it, basically we need to identify those processes which has this repetitive nature, or it is a large amount of data which we need to process, but it does not require human intelligence, as it
Mm-hmm.
was stated by Arjun. And also along with that, a process which can be performed in a stepwise manner, so that we can actually design the workflow. So if we can identify, because in a larger business process there can be certain sections which requires decision making, and that decision making can be done by a human being only. So then we need to identify the sections of that business process which can be automated, where the human intervention is required. And like it was stated by Arjun, that we are now moving towards self learning bots also. If there is a situation which has come up for the very first time, and the decision has been made by the decision maker, now the bot can learn that in future whenever you come across such a situation, this is the decision that has to be made. So we need to identify, in a larger process, larger business process, what are the sections that can be automated, where the decision making is required, and accordingly we need to channelize and design the workflow so that the bot can function and give us the optimized outcome.
Thank you very much. And I want to let our viewers know that if they have any questions, they can write it on the comment section, and we can answer them. So we can wait a little bit, I think, if that's
I just
okay.
wanted to I just wanted to add on one
Yeah,
point to what
of
Madushi
course.
mentioned. So whenever we are having like different kind of RPA, I mean identifying use cases and how do we automate, we have something called front office operations and back office operations. In the front office operations, it's all about enhancing the customer experience. Say, for example, a customer calls up and he wants to know the status of a claim. In that case, the operator or the executive who's handling the call, he is provided an interface, which we call it as like RE, like Automation Anywhere Robotic Interface, through which he can just get some basic information from the customer. For example, like he has a policy number or his like SSN if it's based on US, or similarly identification number, and just key that number into the RPA interface, and then the bot will run in the background and it will give the executive all the details he needs to answer any kind of questions he is getting it from the customer. He need not look up to multiple systems. It makes it life easier, and when the bot is doing the heavy lifting in the back end, he can continue to engage with the customer in ensuring like how comfortable is he with the service, and also he can use that time to cross sell or upsell any of the additional products or services which the company has to offer. So that way you are building a relationship with the customer when he is actually calling you, so it is like a inbound to the company. That way it is useful from the front office. On the back office, we are looking at improving the employees productivity. So we are doing a lot of work on Excel, Word documentation, or reading through different emails, saving PDFs. So all that can be integrated and automated in a bot. And even like we can have multiple people involved in a automating of a process. What do I mean? For example, again going back to the claim, say an example of a claim approval. So there's a large insurance claim which comes to be processed, and the bot is given like permission only to approve till certain level. After that, you want the approver, like who somebody who is at a senior level, to approve that particular claim, because that is beyond the limit of a bot or even an executive. So that's where you can loop in multiple people to handle different kind of scenarios, so that the humans are still controlling the entire game of approvals, designing everything, while the bot is only handling the workflow and the management between multiple people. So this is all about automation on the back end operations.
Thank you very much. Also, for example, I'm in the growth marketing department at Global AI Hub, and for example, my job is to reach out to as many people as possible to collaborate with us. And for example, emailing like 300 people in 1 week is a lot of work. So of course, both comes in a lot, like is very helpful for us, because instead of me emailing every single person one by one, we can just automate that task, and then I can focus on other things that are more important for me and for the company as well. And I think that's an example I wanted to give on how, for example, RPA can be used in the marketing department, how we use it in our daily tasks.
Definitely. Also, to
Yeah,
add on one point to that, like say, for example, if you are doing a bulk emailing, right? Like in
yeah,
that case, if
yeah,
you put everybody's email in the to list and send it, everybody's IDs are going to spam. If you
yeah,
put all of them in just BCC and send it, you're going to address them just saying like hello, hi, hello, reader, like that. But instead, you have a column in which you have all the names, and in the next column you have all the email IDs, and
yeah,
you let the bot pick up the name and the email ID, and then write a personalized email to everybody and send it one by one. Let the bot take
Exactly.
its time, because you don't have to sit in front of the system to send it to 300 people or 3000 people. Like for example, like we run hackathons, and we host like large events for which we have to either send out like user IDs, reminder emails, all that we have to do, and still want to ensure we give them the personalization we always look for. Otherwise, when somebody sends me a mail which just has a subject like hello reader, I know this is not personalized to me, so I don't care about
Exactly.
reading it. When it says hello Arjun, that catches my attention. Okay, somebody takes care of those small pointers, such as remembering my name to then address details. I am more interested or keen on looking at the email. Just to add on, how RPA
Yeah.
bots can be used in almost every phase of life, whether it's professional or personal.
Exactly. Because like a lot of people might be wondering, for example, how can RPA be used in different departments like HR or marketing or finance? But it always comes in handy in any department, I believe. So yeah, thank you very much for attending this webinar. Thank you for all of your answers. I think we learned a lot. I don't think we have any questions from our viewers. So if you don't have anything else to add, we can end this webinar.
I just had a couple of pointers to add, but
Of
I would
course.
let Madushi or Nikolai speak up first, and then I'll go on.
Okay.
So I am good, and it was great having this interaction, knowing Arjun and Nikolai and Enki for your questions. Thanks a lot. And of course, I also got to know a lot of things which was new for me from Arjun and Nikolai also, though I have been doing some hands-on on RPA for quite some time now. But yes, got to know a few things which I would now go ahead and explore further, which will also add on a little bit of more skills to my skill set. But yes, having said that, for our viewers, for our listeners, I would like to say that we need not to be an expert in any technology to start working on it. If we have some interest in that domain, maybe after listening to all three of us, if anybody wants to explore this technology, there is a possibility that once you start designing a bot, you design a very simple bot, and that might attract your attention, and you want to explore more about it. And once we start working on it, we will be able to get more into the depth of it, and the interest will also develop into this technology. So if anybody is willing to explore and further learn about this technology, as Arjun said, there is a lot of information, a lot of content which is available for self learning as well. So we need not to depend upon any trainer or anybody to teach us the technology. We can learn according to our interest. If we are interested in the technology, we can explore the documentation, the content which is available on the internet, and that is going to be really helpful. And beyond that, once we have read about the basic details of the technology, what we are going to learn further or how much we are going to gain expertise in this domain will obviously depend upon the practice that we are going to do. So more we develop the bots, the more number of bots that we develop, the more expertise we'll be able to gather. So that is all from my side. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, Dr. Madushi. Mr. Nikolai?
Yeah, thank you. And thank you to my co-speakers. It was very, very interesting. Thank you, Madushi and Arjun. And also thank you for the opportunity to talk here about RPA and to all the participants. Thank you for your interest. And I believe if you're thinking back to the first industrial revolution, where you can see the physical robots in the production lanes and so on, I guess you can observe the parallels and imagine the direction it could take in the office now, in the office environment, where every single employee can work with his own bot. You are in a team with your colleagues, but also with the robot itself. So it's a quite new experience for all of us, and it's getting very interesting. And I guess it's just around the corner. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nikolai. Mr. Arjun?
Yeah. So, for a lot of people who want to get into this RPA space, even though they learn the tool, is understanding different use cases and where they can actually practice. The tool is available, but what do they practice on? Which are the applications they have tried out? So, for that, we have built a repository of challenge pages. So, what I mean by that is like we have mimicked the different kind of use cases or web applications organization would typically use that way. And we have also listed the difficulty of automating that particular challenge. So I'll share that link to the challenge pages. So once anybody learns the tool, try out all these different challenges. And after you try out these challenges, we also host games. Like, we want this to be like a gamification experience. We call it as bot games. In the month of April, we are coming up with bot games season 2. So what we do there is, like, we share a challenge page on our developer portal. So that is the portal where we again provide different kind of content, different tutorials for all the developers to learn. So you go to that portal, look at the challenge for that week, solve that, and post it on the social media. And then our social media team is always looking at who's posting the solutions, looking at some engaging posts, because we want to create this community of developers who also teach each other. So that way we help everybody else also to learn, because everybody has their own way of automating something. So it's not about just listening to one trainer training you. Instead, you have like a bunch of community people who are like excited to help and solve your problems. Let me share that challenge pages link
Of
for
course.
you so that you can share it with the audience. So this is the challenge pages which I was talking about. And then I will also share like a, and then we also need a forum, right? Like, you're learning something, and if you have a question, whom do you ask, where do you go? So that's where we have a forum that is called as a people forum. So you can come here, post questions, whatever you have. And then it's not only about our automation anywhere employees who would answer, but we have A-listers. Those are like the MVPs of the world who know about the platforms, and they are more than happy to help you solve your queries. That is one. And the third piece is, if you learned a tool, but now you also want to see how are the others building bots, can I take a look at what others are building? Is there a repository which I can use? So that's where bot store comes into place. Just like the way you would use your Apple App Store or Google Play Store to download any apps and use them, we have the concept of bot store, where individuals and large corporations have built bots to automate different use cases, and they are providing it to you for you to try it out. So let me send you the link for the bot store, where you can just sign up on this platform, look at different use cases for which the ready-made bots are available, download them, try it out. Or most of them are like free of cost, but a few of them are like paid ones. But you will still be able to get along with whatever you need with the free bots itself. So that way you learn from the challenge pages. You ask your questions on a people forum, you look at others bots from bot store. That way you have like a integrated approach to learn and master yourself on the field of RPA.
Thank you very much, Mr. Arjun. I hope our viewers actually start their journey, and I think maybe I will start as well. Maybe I can see how Automation India will help me with my journey of RPA. Thank you all very much for attending. I learned a lot from all three of you, actually. As somebody who is not an expert in this field, this was like actually mostly brand new information for me, and I hope our viewers also learned a lot from all of you. Thank you very much to our viewers as well. We'll see you on the next webinar. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Will be great.
Thank you, everyone.